Hey kids, it's Old Man shouting at clouds, and now with others too. Chatting about the CFL is what they're going to do. Some have no contacts and others have no clues. Everyone will tell us all their quirky football views. Hear what Old Man and others know. It's the CFL Outsiders Show.
Hey, GT. What are we going to do this week?
Same thing we do every week, old man. Take over the CFL.
Hey, kids. Welcome back to another episode of the CFL Outsiders. I remain, as always, your 100% unbiased, completely impartial, and very kerfuffled host, Old Man Shouting at Clouds. Joining me this week is MJ.
Hey everyone, my household is pleased to announce that the moose is loose.
Yay! That looks a lot like a moose shirt there.
It looks very much like a loose is loose shirt, yes.
And it appears the moose is loose shirt might have saved you from having to wear a Montreal jersey today.
You know
so
what?
Even better.
They were given an option. This is what he chose.
Good. Okay. And unfortunately, it's just me and MJ tonight. GT was a late scratch, and it's been a little bit of an adventure just getting to this point. So it's too late for us to be able to get a replacement in. We'll do our best to entertain you. And full disclosure, MJ has just mentioned that in Edmonton, where she is, there's a large thunderstorm going overhead. So if it suddenly becomes me and we go back to season 1, my apologies. I'll do my best. Alrighty. I thought I'd start off with, we love it when folks out there interact and come back and give us some comments and tell us what you're thinking. Please keep doing that. I mean, it's nice seeing the subscribers continue to grow on the YouTube channel and on the podcatchers, and we love that. We'd like to know we're entertaining you. But given the actual comments sort of just helps us know what you're thinking too. So I've got a few this week. The first one came from the CFL subreddit. Interaction Icy 2728 said, regarding last week's show, I can see why MJ would be frustrated with those rule changes. They've definitely changed the flow of the game. And then he added, Old Man has a knack for finding the strangest things to focus on, but it does make for entertaining discussions. And thank you, Interactive Action Icy. That's what I'm here for, to find things nobody else does. We've also been, a couple of comments out of YouTube, we've been kind of bashing on the Red Blacks, although they may be earning it. And apparently the fans from there are still with it, because we had Male V6, at Male V6, saying, lifelong Ottawa fan here, keep it up, this is good stuff. So thank you, and we're so sorry for how your season's going. But as I said on the CFL Reddit to some Ottawa fans, this too shall pass. Trust me, Riders fans since the 80s. I've been through this a few times, and you'll just feel so much better when they start winning again and you've stuck with them. So hang in there.
And your team has won a Grey Cup this century. Their team has won a Grey Cup this century. I mean, you know.
Yes, that...
yeah, hang in there.
That comes from a very specific fan base there.
Yes. No one needs to mention
And
names.
then the last one was at Randy Peterson from YouTube, and we talked on the show about how the crowd in Calgary looked fairly sparse, and he said, just FYI, Calgary explained the crowd looking so thin on TV. Everyone moved to the west side of the stadium to take advantage of the shade because it was so hot. It would have been nice if there was no room to do that, but here we are. Thanks again for the pod. And thank you, Randy. Yes. So thank you for getting back to us and letting us know that we're not just shouting into the void out there, and we'll keep trying to inform and entertain you. A few news items. These may go fairly quick tonight, especially with only the two of us here, and we'll see if either of us is in a rant mood. Usually we fill a few minutes because something hits GT and the sticks in his craw, so we won't have that tonight. But first thing, the 3 Down this week announced that sources have confirmed the 2027 Combine will be held in Calgary this year, or next year actually, 2027, yeah. It's going to be the week of March 15th to accommodate the new earlier start to the season, and not a lot of other details than that. I'm hoping that, what was it, DAZN that is picking up the Saturday broadcast next year, they talked about the fact that they would be providing coverage to the combine and the draft and whatnot. I hope that starts next year.
Yeah,
But
that would be nice.
we'll have to see.
Interesting. Calgary got Grey Cup and Combine.
Yeah. Hey, anything to promote it in that market. We need to bring them back a bit.
For sure.
And as you mentioned last week, it'd be nice if the company that owned them put some money into it too, but we'll all do our best here.
I'm wearing a Stampeders shirt. I'm helping.
Yes, exactly. Go Stamps.
We're all doing our
That's
part.
where it's a shame. That's where it's a shame that GT couldn't make it on tonight. I'm sure he would have loved talking about that Stampeder game, but
honestly,
we'll get back to that.
Yeah, what a game.
Yes. What else do we have here? Oh, you were mentioning, MJ, that a Canadian team won in the NFL Flag Summer Championship.
Yeah, so it was interesting. There's a lot of teams. It's like U18 and down, and there's co-ed, there's men, there's boys, there's girls, and there's international. And the NFL has done such a fantastic job of promoting this tournament. On their main NFL page, they've just been posting videos of crazy catches and interceptions and throws. And has been so, what a joy to watch this week. It's been so much fun because let me tell you, there are some fantastic athletes playing flag, including the U15 Montreal Flight School Elite who won the U15 championship. And their receiver, Isaiah Smith, was the U15 MVP. And if you get a chance to check out his one-handed grab in the end zone, do, because it was fantastic. So, Canada out there giving everyone notice. Great job.
Good to see Canadian teams doing well. Congratulations, Montreal's Flight School Elite. And please keep it up. Yes, we also got announced today that the Flag World Cup, the Canadian rosters got announced for that. Now, on the men's team, apparently going into the World Cup tournament is ranked 10th, and these are 12-man rosters. About half of them are either ex-CFLers or at least have tried out for the CFL. Biggest name is Marc-Antoine Dequoy is now going to be playing for Canada in the flag team. And joining him is ex-CFL receiver Daniel Peterman, former University of Manitoba quarterback Jackson Tuzinski. And he did try out with Edmonton as a receiver, but did not get out of camp. And then we also have Michael O'Connor, who played quarterback in the CFL as a backup for a little while. DB Maxime Lavallee, and former NFL tight end Anthony Auclair. And then the rest of them are made up of former college players, I believe, but not pros. And on the other side, the women's side, unfortunately, we don't get to hear nearly enough about women, so there's no names that I recognized on there. But they are ranked higher than the men's team. They're ranked 4th in the world going into this one. And you can tell that football has a little bit of an impact in Quebec because the 12 women on the squad, there's 1 from Alberta and 11 from Quebec. So.
Yeah, the men's team, there's 9 players on their team from Quebec, 1 from Winnipeg and 2 from Ontario. So whatever Quebec is doing for flag football, they are years ahead of everyone else in the entire country. So everyone else has work to do. But this is really exciting for the province of Quebec because this is fantastic for their program and fantastic for all these men and women.
Quebec has a huge football culture. If there's the junior and amateur teams there get lots and lots of support and have contributed a lot of great players at the university level. You got Laval, you got Montreal, there's others, but those 2 have been the premiers of it. Yeah, I don't know that everyone understands just how much football is popular and what an impact it is in Quebec. That's where it'd be fantastic to see the team, a CFL team in Quebec City, because I'm sure that they have the fans there to support it.
As we discussed too, this is actually a really big testament to their flag program because flag is very different than tackle and they're almost 2 entirely different sports. So the fact that they have so many elite athletes that are playing, the women are ranked 4th in the world. They're basically all from Quebec. So whatever they're doing there in their flag is fantastic. I can't wait to watch. Flag is everything I love about football. Like, great throwing, great interceptions, great, like, breaking ankles down the field. Like, it's a lot of fun. Flag's a lot of fun.
If anyone watching on video will notice I brightened up here a little bit more. It's not my personality. I just realized one of my studio lights was out. Now you might be able to see me. That's not necessarily a positive thing. But yeah, I agree with you. I certainly I'll try and keep track of this and see if I can find out if these games are going to be televised and get the information out there. But yeah, full credit to Quebec for what they're accomplishing below the professional level in Canadian football, flag football, and at the professional level with the Owls right now. But let's see what else. I am definitely out of rhythm and everything, so we'll try not to make this too boring. You were mentioning also, MJ, that this whole drama with the Whitecaps in Vancouver and BC Place, there's more news this week.
Yeah, things are getting spicy in Vancouver. So it was announced that the Whitecaps want to buy BC Place. The BC Place is owned by the province of BC. And the Whitecaps want to buy it so that they can take over ownership and management of it. And now it is announced this week that Amar Doman, the owner of the BC Lions, also would like to buy BC Place from the government. So it'll be interesting because if the government wants to sell, it sounds like they need to do a public bidding process. So those two might actually lose out. Then someone else might swoop in. But I know there's a lot of drama, and GT is not here to talk about the soccer team, but I would like to maybe see a joint ownership situation because I don't think either of them can really fund it on their own. But maybe they can work together like other teams do and maybe work out something for it. Hopefully this is good news for either the Whitecaps, BC Lions, and I actually really hope this is going to end up being good news for both teams because your city is better when there's more sports at a professional level.
Definitely. And I agree with you completely. I don't know what the laws are, what the rules are around taking bids on it, but I am fully in favor of the idea of having the province go to both teams and say, look, you want to take this over? That's great. Do basically what MJ said. Create between the two of you a stadium corporation where you both have 50% ownership and take it. And then that lets all the drama of scheduling get figured out internally between the teams. It gets the monkey off the government's back. I think it'd be a good way to move ahead. But
see, because there's a lot of people upset that they would sell a public asset that's making money. So I don't know.
Well, if they can get private ownership for it and get a reasonable dollar for what it's worth, I don't have a problem with that at all myself. And yeah, just make it simple. But of course, because that's such a simple answer, it's probably impossible.
I think it's going to be pretty messy out there. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens, what shakes out at the end.
Yeah. Maybe somebody will end up building another temporary one at the PNE grounds and the way the Lions went for a couple of years while the renos were going on. That was not a bad way to watch football.
I loved going to Empire Field. Yeah. I had a great time there. But, yes. I mean, temporary stadium seats are fun for, like, ice season, not forever.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of stadiums and what the attendance is, what they'll take, this was the second best week of CFL attendance of the season so far. The only one that was higher on average was week 3, and they only had 3 games. So Winnipeg and Regina basically carried that week. This week we did have games in Winnipeg and Regina again. BC and Montreal were both over 21,000. So the average this week was just under 26,000. And that's very encouraging. It's, like I said, week 2 on average was about 2K higher, but overall that looks good. The further we get in the season, the more that it gets to matter. We're starting to get people coming back. Signings and releases for this week. There's a few to note. Dejon Allen was released in BC. I'm expecting he'll be picked up soon, as we'll talk about in another segment here. But he is out after basically missing the block that got Nathan hurt. So good way to get cut in BC, yes. We had Giovanni Robinson, the global tight end. Hamilton traded to Ottawa.
I saw this Did they have 2 global tight ends on that team?
Yes, Robinson was still on the practice squad.
This seems so strange.
Yes. Well, he was in the starting lineup for the last 2 seasons, and then when Max Mang came, I guess he became the expendable. I take it you're not overly worried about Hamilton losing that player.
It's fine. There's other things to worry about in Hamilton than a tight end practice roster.
Yeah. Plus, Max
They'll probably
Mang
go
is a
play
much
really
better
well
name.
somewhere else, I assume. Everyone plays better when they leave Hamilton, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Dinwiddie does with a tight end in his offense. He hasn't been known to use them as anything other than blocking mostly, so we'll see. But anyway, going along, Lewis Ward re-signed in Calgary as a kicker.
In Ottawa?
Ottawa. Thank you. It is a disjointed night. I'm not in.
Calgary doesn't want a new kicker.
Calgary's got a good kicker. Edmonton doesn't want a new kicker either, but Ottawa apparently may need one. And as I'll end up mentioning it in the injury reports, but apparently Lowther's got a hamstring. So,
like everyone else,
did not participate. And
yeah.
The Moose, being honored by MJ Shirt, re-signed in Calgary after a tryout down in the NFL last week. Got in the game, had 1 target. Didn't work very well, but hey, he'd been back with the team for 2 days.
2 days of Yeah. It's just nice to see him back on the field.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's a bit much to expect even a receiver to come back on 2 days and do anything. Mind you, the Lions did it with Nathan at quarterback a while back, and we saw how that worked out, too.
I will say, the Stampeders did a really, really awesome job of announcing him back. They just had like a Moose sign that said Moose sighting and posted it up, and then they started going from there, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good Instagram day.
Yes.
With the Calgary
Stampeders. The social medias from the CFL teams are getting better and better. There's still a few that seem to lag a bit, but everyone gets some good ones in, and a few of the teams like Winnipeg and Calgary and Montreal all seem to be above and beyond. What else did we have? Oh, the last one. Lorenzo Malden, the 4th, isn't it, I think? Anyway, after going down to the AFL or UFL or whatever it is for a while, is now back with BC. So they're still trying to find something to help with that D-line. And that was it for the changes there, although we did get to, this is a report, it hasn't been confirmed by the team yet, but 3 Down Nation reported that BC's moving to Salter for their starting quarterback this week against Winnipeg, moving on from Bryce, which kind of makes some sense. And to me, Bryce's performance over the last 2 games is a perfect example of why you don't ever want to get too hyped about a quarterback's preseason performance. Because he looked pretty good up against a bunch of people trying to make the teams in the preseason, but even against Toronto's one of the weaker defenses in the CFL, and he still looked bad. So apparently, Farhan Lauji said that he's supposed to start, and J.C. Abbott was at the practices and said he's been taking all the first-team reps.
A fun fact for us, Salter is Casey Printer's cousin.
Wow. So he'll have a fantastic year. Somehow Nathan won't get back. He'll have a fantastic year for BC this year and then disappear.
Well,
that's what the Chinooks say.
Maybe he had a better coaching support than Casey did.
Yes. Yeah, that's mean of me. I shouldn't do that.
Anyway, that was a fun little fact, and he didn't realize that Casey had played in BC, and so
okay,
he learned a little learning. So anyway, I hope he does well, because I know all my BC fans said that if Bryce was starting, they weren't watching. So
I can see why.
That's fair. So, that's a fair comment.
Hey. Maybe Salter will get a little bit of the skinny from Casey on how to play CFL quarterback.
Yeah, maybe Casey will come watch him in Peg.
I'll say this for him. He did look kind of Printer-esque out there. He was running around and not completing a huge number of balls, but the ones he were for good yardage. Now, mind you, it was late in the game too, but yeah, cool. And sort of the last thing before we get into, second last thing, I guess we'll talk fantasy yet, but I just wanted to mention, and I want to hear what you have to say. It's a shame where GT's not here because I'd like to hear what he has to say too. But this is where I mentioned Dejan Allen, I expect will sign somewhere. It has been a really nasty few weeks on offensive tackles in the CFL. 2 weeks ago, both Reed and Barrow went down for Hamilton, and that's when Max Mang ended up playing guard at 265 pounds. This last week in the BC game, at different times, both of their tackles were out. They didn't end up having to go to the emergency lineman because one of them managed to hobble back in when the other one got hurt. But still, that was really tough. And then it was reported this week that coming out of the game against Calgary, Winnipeg, both Bryant and Broxton did not participate in practice. Now, they've moved. I think Bryant was up to practicing the second day, but still, it seems like every year a position gets hit with injuries, and this year it seems like it's the tackle spot. Am I reading too much into this?
I don't know. I feel like it just goes in cycles. Like 1 year, everyone on the D line's hurt. 1 year, DBs are down. 1 year, like every kicker is injured. Like QB is getting injured every year, but it's actually going to be worse for QBs, as we can see, because of what's happening with the offensive line.
Yes.
So that's tough. That's tough for QBs. Hope you're mobile and can run, because things might be not so great for you out there.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Tackles are getting harder and harder to find, and any that have sort of much talent at all are getting scooped up by the NFL just because there's so few of them available with talent these days. And it seems like the CFL's been having the same problems. They can get Americans that can come up and play the interior quite well, and a few teams have moved to that, but getting good tackles is still really tough.
Maybe
with
the rise of flag football, like CFL football is going to evolve. Maybe you won't need a D and O line as much as you used to anymore, like in 20 years from now. Maybe they'll evolve it. I don't mind, because I'm just here for the high flying. It doesn't matter to me if there's like 6 guys. Like, no, it doesn't. Yes. But I mean, it is what it is, and it just sucks that there's so many people injured. It's a tough position. You are hustling all the time. And if quarterbacks aren't necessarily pocket passing anymore and they're dancing around a bit, it gets even harder. That is where QBing looks like it's evolving. So now it's extra work if someone's dancing around. And I mean, and that partly is probably because DBs are getting better and they're covering receivers better and they're jumping routes more effectively. Yeah. Quarterbacks are having a harder time fighting. So, I mean, it just starts to domino. And now we've kind of hit the road where O-linemen are starting to go down because they're kind of like the last man standing and is working really hard. I think that's maybe the train of thought.
Yes. Well, and I hope you're wrong about the game evolving to that. As much as I like the passing and the high flying stuff, I'm enough of an old school football guy that the game in the trenches is what I'm here for. So please don't ever take that away.
No one can play it, though.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a tough position.
Well,
how do you sell that position to somebody in high school or college? Like, how do you sell that job? Like, it is the worst. Like, it's the hardest.
Yes, it is. But if you're good at it, you can make money. I mean, it's also probably the highest paid line position. So we'll see. Yeah.
DB's
this
not
is
being
not
so good at your
nowhere
job.
on the rundown, but it just twigged with me when you talked about how the game is changing. Apparently, the glorious leader down south weighed in on the NFL and a bunch of changes that he wants to see happen with it. He wants the old kickoff back. He doesn't like the new kickoff. He doesn't want them streaming games anymore. And he wants them to stop calling it football. Because apparently the FIFA World Cup taught him that football in the rest of the world means something different.
Yeah,
and
he and FIFA
he feels they
president
should be
besties.
respecting that.
Yeah, he and the FIFA president
and he
are
feels
best
they should
friends.
be respecting that. And I don't know what he made no suggestions about what it should be called, but it shouldn't be football anymore. Anyway,
when he talks, it's just like the Peanuts teacher voice. That's all I hear. I don't actually hear words anymore. So
yeah,
I'm sure the NFL will take it under advisement. Like the
Yeah.
The highest scores. They make more money than there was just a study, a thing that came out that the NFL makes more money than MLB, NHL, and one other sport, something combined. I don't think they're worried.
I don't doubt it.
They don't care. They're making buckets of cash.
They are a machine.
Yeah.
And yes, and they put a product that's sometimes good, sometimes not so good, depending on the teams and who they've got involved. So they put out a product that's passable, but what they really do is market it. And we talked about that several times, how good they are at marketing. So got to give them credit for that. P.T. Barnum said, if there's something along the lines of, if a market doesn't exist, create one. And that's certainly what they did.
Good for them.
What else did we have? Oh, sorry. Anything else there? Okay. All righty. Quick thing with our fantasy this week. I think we both lost because it was against the average, and the average was 93 points. I had 76.3 points, so I was well under it. But the biggest reason was I didn't feel bad about my strategy. I thought I had some trouble this week trying to figure out, because it was just against the average, who I should be picking. But most of my players did not bad, but I put Kelly at quarterback, and he got hurt. So if he played the second half, as long as he got 10 points in that second half, I probably would have had a victory, but I didn't. So I'm now at 4-4 again and sitting at 8th. And I think you fell just a little bit short too, did you not?
Yeah.
Or did you get a win this week?
So I actually have a little public service announcement about fantasy, and I just want to preface this by saying this is my opinion, and it is not the opinion of the podcast or my wonderful co-hosts. I don't know if you have legalized gambling in your province, but I do now, and for months, all I've gotten are gambling ads on my podcasts, on my Gmail. I get a gambling podcast on my Gmail. There's billboards in my city for gambling. TSN has one big gambling ad. There's gambling ads on the field, on the sideline, on the superimposed. Every pregame is just gambling. Sportsnet is the same thing. And you know what? I feel like I'm sticking a Band-Aid on a burst pipe, but I just, you know what? This has changed. Fantasy has been fun, but it's changed how how I'm enjoying my games. And most importantly, it's changing how my kid is enjoying the game and how he is viewing games. And you know what? I'm glad people are having fun, and that's awesome, but I need to be a good role model for my kids. So I'm going to keep playing fantasy. I will not be talking about my fantasy anymore unless we are playing each other. But we are inundated, and he really loves sports. So he is constantly being advertised to gamble. And so, yeah. So not to say everyone does what they want to do, and that's great. I gotta be at least one person who is not gambling on sports in this world, even if it's for free. So
I fully support you with it. And you're right on a couple of things. I mean, yeah, well, they're even, the gambling companies are even sponsoring now, like it was the FanDuel Canada Day weekend. You know, it's a bit much. This fantasy that we do is not a pay money for fantasy, but I get your point. And frankly, that's the other thing, is I commented on the league sort of chat thread on X that when Kelly went down halfway through that BC game, I knew that I probably wasn't going to win against an average this week. So I had a game and a half of football where all of a sudden I didn't really give a damn who did what, and if the players I'd picked were scoring points or not, and if other good players were, and it was kind of a very nice throwback. So I really respect the fact that you've joined the league. Now things are going in a way you don't like, but you're going to play out the season, which is what the commitment's about, but you're not going to talk about it so much. And frankly, I'm beginning to think maybe next year, depending on whatever else happens, I may not go back into the fantasy, because it does definitely change the way I view the game.
Yeah.
It puts my focus on things other than just enjoying the great athletic plays.
Honestly, I thought it would enhance my game viewing experience, and it honestly, you're right. I'm like worried. I'm worried. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, like I should have done this. Oh, he got hurt. Would have ruined my whole week. And I'm like, you know what? Like, what? Why am I so worried about it? I'm like, back to vibes based. Enjoy the plays. enjoy the games.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay, so we'll
Sorry,
see
I
how
kind
it
of threw
goes.
that on you.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. And I'm, like I said, I respect it. I get where you're coming from. I'll probably still give my weekly updates, but keep them short, and we'll just not worry about it until I think it's the second or third last game of the season we take each other on. So maybe we'll talk a bit more about it then.
That's different.
Yeah. So anyway, that takes us to the actual games that were played, and I don't know how much we'll have for this with just us without GT here. And frankly, we kind of talked a little bit about this before in the pre-show as we were getting stuff together. It was a week where either the games were so good that there's almost too much to talk about, so it's hard to fit stuff in, and we'll probably just be skipping over the highlights. And some of them were, frankly, hardly worth talking about. So we'll see. The first one, which I feel fairly safe in calling the game of the year to this point, because I'm not the only one doing that. Just about everybody I've seen has been raving about this game. It was the first battle for first place in the West, Edmonton going into Saskatchewan, and they pulled it off. They managed to win 36-34. Now, this was a incredible game. All three phases, offense, defense, and special teams on both teams, made fantastic plays and made bonehead plays. You could tell there was a lot of nerves going on there with it. It was something to watch. And in the end, Edmonton managed to get themselves a walk-off 57-yard field goal from Vincent Blanchard, is it not? I believe, yeah. Anyway, absolutely clutch kick straight down the middle. At kicking from 57 yards, the ball ended almost at the back line of the end zone, so he could have had another at least 15 yards on that kick.
Where's GT for me to tell him that Blanchard went 3 for 3 and won the game on a walk-off field goal?
Yes, my favorite part of the weekend was on, I think it was the Sunday night games. They gave out the dog of the week, and Milt gave it to a kicker, to Blanchard, and I thought that was fully deserved.
Deserved.
He was one of the stars of that game. But the game started out, they were in a tough emotional position. I think both teams were affected because we'd had the Dalkey crash and the tribute to Jaden and Bishma, who was also killed in the accident. And there's enough stuff sort of floating around about it that it had to be handled just about perfect to come off okay. And I thought they did very well with the tributes, the way that they handled them both. They didn't get into any of the weeds, and they did equal tributes, probably more to Bishma. So I thought that you've got to do something about it, regardless of what the circumstances were. Dalkey was a teammate that was heavily missed obviously by his football family. And I thought the one thing that was very nicely done, and obviously both teams were involved, the first time that they went to punt, Saskatchewan fielded 11 players and left Dalkey's position on the punt team empty, and then took the intentional delay of game to then turn around and fill it in, just making the statement that this is where he should be. Edmonton immediately declined the penalty, which told me the two coaches had agreed to that ahead of time, that was going to be a way to acknowledge it. And then that kind of put things behind them, and they went into playing football. What else can you have? An onside kick in the first quarter, a touchdown coming in just with like 2 seconds left in the first half. The game's tight, and then late in the game, 3rd and 1, and there's a mix-up because of the crowd, and the snap gets fumbled and recovered, and Saskatchewan at that point down by 2 gets it down to the Edmonton 21-yard line with like 5 minutes left. A chance to salt away the game, but the Edmonton defense comes up. Yeah, the Edmonton defense comes up big and holds them to a field goal, and in the end, that gives them the chance to win it with a field goal later. it was just like that, back and forth all the way. I'll get your comments, but before I do, I'm going to toss this to you by asking you a MJ question. Did you realize that this game featured the two most accurate quarterbacks in CFL history?
I didn't know that.
No, I don't know if you saw this whole game, but yeah, that was the TSN crew was mentioning it at least twice per play.
Amazing. Well done, boys.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you saw this one all. You mentioned it was a busy weekend. You didn't get to see them all.
I just saw the highlights of this one because Thursday night games are tricky for me. But anyway, I think teams have finally figured out how to shut Rankin down. So, of course, Austin Mack is starting to pop off. It's actually really nice to see the Elks. A year or two ago, Cody could have thrown for 500 yards. They wouldn't have finished this game. They would not have been able to put that game away. And so it's just nice for them to be able to finally drive the final nail in. Mark Killam dedicated this win to the CFL schedule makers.
I saw that, yes.
Oh, he's so salty and I love it. I was like, maybe you're a Taylor Swift fan in secret, Mark, because that's such a...
Yes. Well, they have had some short weeks, but this week they get 9 days. So,
Yeah. But yeah, dedicated to the CFL schedule makers. I just thought that was hilarious and I loved it so much. Yeah, what a great game. I mean, Cody knocked a pass off the upright as he likes to do. So this game had everything. Yeah, it's too bad AJ got hurt, right? But
yes, and they're saying week to week for him, so he may be in on Saturday, but I'm thinking probably not.
How after that?
That was a knee injury, so yeah.
Gross. But yeah, it was Elks are the real deal. Riders, they played better than I thought they were going to play. I was pretty worried because I know they're Form 1, but they just feel like they've been slow out of the gate. For whatever it's worth.
I mean, this weekend was a lot of fun in a lot of ways, but did we learn anything? I don't know that we did.
I know.
I felt like we had a lot of confirmation of stuff we already knew, and the big question was who's the best team in the West, and Edmonton's in first place right now. Calling a best team in the West is difficult because they're both playing well, and frankly, the more Calgary gets into their season, it's going to be interesting. And I know the Bombers are up there at, where are they, at 4-3 right now, but they've had a fairly easy schedule for some of their wins. So I think that'll tail off. And
Calgary does not have to play Montreal again.
That's a huge part of why they're at 3-4, I think. Yeah. So there were a couple other things that I was going to mention in this. There was, after Saskatchewan got the ball in the 21 there, late in the game, they scored a touchdown, and it got called back on an offensive PI call against Emilus. That I've seen a lot of debate in mostly from Saskatchewan fans, of course, about what a cheap call and what a soft call that was and how terrible it was. My personal opinion, it was an interesting one because OPI rarely gets called, and I've seen hand fighting worse than that go free all the time. But I also fall back to, this is my attitude, and this is what I would say to our team back when I was coaching the game. If you put yourself in a position, whether that was a good call or not, if you put yourself in a position where one mistake by either your team or the officials can cost you the game, it's still on you, because that call did not lose them the game. If they had perhaps not let Cody and Edmonton slice through them like warm bread on the first drive and give up a easy touchdown, if they'd had maybe covered Keon Julian Grant instead of letting him get wide open 30 yards behind everybody else for an 80-yard touchdown. I think it was in that same late series, if Trevor Harris threw the ball that he normally throws to a wide open Keon Schaefer-Baker in the end zone instead of bouncing it in the turf 3 yards ahead of him. So please do not go blaming the outcome of this game on a call. The teams have control over where they're at by how they perform.
If one call determines your entire game, then you weren't playing well enough ahead of that call.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you leave yourself in a position where one mistake from wherever it comes from, internally or externally to your team, you haven't done your job. just make sure you're not going to have that happen. Anyway, that's...
Just like, you know what? See my PI rant from last week.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and I can't even remember who it was this week, but I know one of the DBs was starting to call for an offensive PI call, so it's just getting worse and worse. They got to crack down on that.
Yeah.
Anything else here? Oh yeah, three things real quick. Absolutely clean game. Between the two teams, there was 6 penalties for a total of 39 yards. So even though that one penalty may or may not have played into the outcome of the game, it was played cleanly. And there was one on a Saskatchewan short yardage where Tommy Stevens got his yardage and the Edmonton DB, one of the Edmonton DBs closed on the pile and started punching away at the ball to try and get it out as they normally do, and got a flag for unnecessary roughness. They showed the replay, and it wasn't a vicious punching at anything. He was basically tapping on the ball, and the officials got together and picked up the flag. So I'd like to see that, because no reason for that call there at all.
That's ridiculous. All right.
Yes, you're right. It was, and they realized it. So thank you, officials. Good job by a good crew. And then the last thing was also about the officials. I felt like this was obviously an experienced chain gang, the people that are handling the sticks on the sidelines, obviously an experienced one that has played in Saskatchewan before, because there was one point where AJ broke free and was aiming for the first down marker on the sidelines. And when he got within about 10 yards of there, they just dropped them and fled. Smartest thing to do.
They have on a lot of equipment and are going full pull. You have no equipment and are standing still.
Yes.
No, it's not worth it.
It is. And it's not just AJ going full tilt at you. It's the guys coming behind him.
I don't know how anyone works those
normally,
sidelines.
like I said, and this is not making fun of the people in the chains. It can be a dangerous job, and you want to get out of there. But normally you'll see if the play gets, 2 or 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, they'll do that. I just got such a kick out of this one. As soon as they saw where the guy saw where it was coming, no, I'm gone.
I'm out. I don't get paid enough for this.
Yep, smart football, smart officiating. Yeah.
Heads up play, official.
Yes, and I think that's about all I've got. So unless there's any other last-minute thoughts, we'll move on. The next one was Calgary going into Winnipeg, and this looked like it could be a good game, but not really in the end. Calgary 52, Winnipeg 30. And I thought there were a couple of stories to this game. You could talk about the fact that Tyreek McAllister scored 3 touchdowns in the first half on 3. He scored a rushing one, a receiving one, and a missed field goal return. Apparently, 2 other players in CFL history have done that in one game, but nobody's ever done it in a single half. So that was a storyline. The storyline could be the fact that Drew Brown threw 4 interceptions, should have been 5, if Kyrie Wilson could catch at all. And they turned the ball over on downs twice, so lots of turnovers there. But really, I think the storyline in this was the fact that Brady for Winnipeg ran 14 carries, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns, a couple of long touchdowns, including one at the end of the third quarter when they were still somewhat in the game. And then he did not touch the ball again until the last minute when they were already out of it, and they were just... And frankly, this is another one of my rants, but a minute to go, they just wanted to get off the field and get out of there. So they ran 3 running plays to Brady. Why even bother doing that? Why risk an injury to anybody on the field? If you're just saying, all we want is out of here, take your knee 3 times and admit, we've lost. You're not showing any fight by getting people hurt. Anyway, there was an entire fourth quarter. He did not touch the ball. And then...
really detrimental to them because that crowd was out of it. And everyone was very sad. And then he runs that play. They score a touchdown. All of a sudden the crowd is like going. And then, I think that was off the LeBrosse lateral. He He intercepted it, tried to lateral it, and then fumbled it, and then Brady got that touchdown after that. So that series just put the crowd right back in the game, and then you don't use him. And Brady's like dropping F-bombs on the sideline. You're picking it up. He's like, he's all in beast mode, and then you just don't use him. Tommy Condell, never change, I guess. I just, if he like tries to change, and then when things got, he cannot play call. It's
absolutely. And he doubled down on it after the game. He said that he thought the calls he made gave them the best chance to win. And then this is a direct quote from him. It takes everyone. It's a team. It's not just one guy running the ball. There's another 11. It's always a we over me mentality in that way. And yeah, he's right. Brady can't win a game on his own. They need everybody else blocking well and playing well for it. And you can't just run the ball. You got to do other stuff. But I'm sorry, that's a BS quote, because saying that it's about the team rather than the best player we have, and I choose not to use him, makes no sense. And he also, just let me say this. This wasn't a quote, but I thought this was really telling. They said that he also mentioned that he is happy to admit when he makes mistakes behind closed doors to the team, but he won't admit them in public. That's not helpful. Saying you're accountable to the team without showing it to the fans doesn't tell me much.
I understand. Okay. They knew this about him and hired him anyway. So you live with it now. This is, you're reaping what you're sowing, right? Brown threw 40 times. 40 in that game. He's not playing well. He's not playing well. You have him throw the ball 40 times. Tim White is 3 for 7 with 32 yards. I thought the offense was running through Tim White. That's what you told us all. Yeah. It's not working. Brady is running well. Why are you abandoning that and trying to force Brown to throw when he's not? Anyway, I don't know. But they played for 2 years together in Ottawa, right? Like, they know each other. So I don't know. It was, I mean, if you want to talk about good things that happened for Winnipeg, and they're not a lot, but Brady had a good game, and Willie Jefferson had a sack and an interception. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness, like, he's still scaring QBs, like, putting the fear in the heart, right? Like,
I have to admit, this is my week for admitting where I was wrong. I should have mentioned in the first game, I didn't admit where I was wrong there. I said last week, if Saskatchewan could limit Rankin, the Elks could not win in a passing duel. Obviously, I was wrong completely on that one. And this is the other thing I was wrong on. I've said a couple of times, I thought Willie's lost a step and isn't playing as well. These last 3 games, he's looking as good as he ever did. So yeah, my apologies, Willie J. You proved me wrong, and I'm loving watching it.
Yeah. My last note, and then I want to talk about Calgary, because that's the team I want to really talk about. But the TSN shady moment for me is, like, they zoomed in on Zach after every bad Drew Brown play. And then they just pan in tight to Zach in his street clothes. And I was like, oh boy. And then Milt's like, well, maybe Ryan wasn't wrong after all, everyone. Boy.
Yeah.
It's just too bad. It's too bad because he had that one good game, and then the last, it's just not looked good.
But even that was against the Toronto defense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everybody's been shredding, and so he won against Toronto. He won against Ottawa, who is also not the top of the league. And the first time he played a real defense that can actually catch the ball, 4 interceptions. That's one thing that I've noticed about Brown going, and not to validate myself, and I know nobody's going to go back and watch the last 2.5 years of the CFL Outsiders, but I've been saying this quite consistently. Brown, he throws a lot of balls into trouble, and for whatever reason, DBs drop them. He gets more easy interceptions dropped than any quarterback I've seen. He went against a team that actually knows how to catch the ball, and you wanted to talk Calgary too.
Yeah, so let's start with LeBron, since we're talking about interceptions. He's been sitting on the bench all year, and I think it's Green that's out, and so he's been in for Green. And you're not going on the bench. you are now like, what a way to make the most of your opportunity. So he made that little mistake with the lateral. I think he just got like really excited and was like, I'm going to extend this play. But you know what? He came back and made two more. So he had such a great game. I was so happy for him. And I'm glad he was able to fix his mistake, because that could have been a TSN turning point disaster.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he's after his mistake on the one interception, the next one he returned, I think 70, 80 yards. It was a great
like, just
return.
keep it yourself, sir. You run. You don't need to lateral. It's not rugby. It's not rugby. You don't need to lateral this to anyone. Just off you go. Yeah, McAllister's, we talked about three
Sorry,
touchdowns.
just let me say this in case anybody isn't aware of what you're mentioning there. LeBras made a nice interception about the Winnipeg 30-yard line. And as he was being tackled, decided he'd try and flip it back to someone else to get some extra yards out of it. And Ontario Wilson kind of jumped in between the two of them and caught the lateral in the air. So, yeah, a bit of a silly move, trying too much. But I thought I should let anyone who didn't know about that know about it.
I wish they would have showed Dave on the sideline during that, but luckily he made up for it. As we said, McAllister, a rushing touchdown, passing touchdown, field goal return touchdown. That is a record. This is kind of a game where, like, are you a Calgary Stampeder? You probably set a CFL record today.
Yeah.
Vernon Adams, he now has he was at 17. I think he's at 20 now, or either 20 or 21. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Passing touchdowns without an interception. This is an incredible record.
Yes. And as they pointed out in the game, I didn't realize this. That was touchdowns without an interception at the start of the season. When you go over multiple seasons, the record was 20 by Ricky Ray, and I can't remember who. I can't remember. Anyway, somebody else that was right up there. And so VA now in that score is now at 23. So he got both records.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
This is an offense that loves playing for him. That O-line works hard for him. Those receivers work hard. You know, last week Stanford was showing he went and bought booster juice for all of the whole team. He just showed up with like booster juice for everyone. I'm like, he's just like that person you would want to be on a team with. And he's, finally, I think he would tell you he'd probably trade it all in for a Grey Cup, but right now he's playing lights out. And then this makes me wonder, I wish GT was here, because now we're going to talk receivers, and Moose is back. And where do they fit him in? He was listed behind Barnes, so they'll probably rotate them in. But we were joking that all those receivers are playing so they don't get sat down for anyone else.
Yeah.
Like all of them had a really good game. And, it makes me wonder if they even need Adjo, because look I don't think they need him. They're playing great. Philpott had a great game. Like, Mills had a great game. Well, no, he didn't even really. But, I mean, Mills made the most of opportunities when presented, but they aren't really, like, it wasn't as good as Brady. But, I mean, yeah. But their receivers are ticking, and they're firing. And I think now that they have Montreal in their rear view mirror, I think they are going to be full steam ahead.
Yes, and I agree with you about Joe. He's a good insurance policy to have, but I don't know that they need him. Will they hold him on the roster now that Alfred is back, or will they release him again and see if somebody else picks him up? I don't know.
I couldn't find how long they had signed Alfred for. All I could see is that they signed him, but I couldn't see for how long it was.
That's a good point. I don't think I saw that reported anywhere, whether it's just this season or for longer term. They did release Janis, who was one of the backup Canadian receivers. They've got Brissett, they got Barnes and Philpott already out there. You could, I suppose, take maybe Trayvon Jones off and put Alfred there, but I suspect that what they'll do is they'll just rotate the four of those Canadian receivers to keep them fresh, and it won't really matter who gets the starting role. I suspect that it probably will be Barnes and Alfred that take halftime with each other, but I can see them taking Brissett out too. I don't see them taking Philpott out. I mean, that's the other thing we haven't mentioned yet. The first play of the second half, VA hit him up the middle, and he just basically ran like a tank and took it, I think, 69 yards for the touchdown, broke 3 or 4 tackles. So you're not going to pull him off in a hurry.
No, they were all business, right? That was a business trip. They got beat out very close the last 2 times against Montreal, and I'm glad that they were able to just put it all together.
The missed field goal return that McAllister got was a terrible kick by Castile. He's usually money, but it was a bad miss, and it barely made it to the goal line.
What is going on? What is going on? He and Haralahu are not having a good year.
Yeah. Well, let's talk also, Alex Hale in Saskatchewan, who everyone's saying, when do they, I've seen the Saskatchewan fans start to refer to him as Alex Fail now, and there's a lot of pressure, but again,
it's a tough being a kicker in Saskatchewan.
Yes, and they put themselves in a tough spot in that he's one of the 2 globals they have to carry, so if they want to get a different kicker, they either have to find a global to carry on the roster for a position that they don't need, or it's got to be another global kicker. And while there's lots of Aussie punters, global kickers are at more of a premium.
Dean Faithful is available.
I wonder what Boris Beatty's doing. I think he's considered global. Anyway.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, you know what? I think he'll be okay. I am more optimistic about this because I've seen kickers grow into some, look at Blanchard again. Look at what's happening. They will grow into it. I mean, it's not like some vets are having a good time right now. It's as much as Luke Wilson wants to say that kickers are the most pointless part of the game. I think they're one of the most important parts, and there's a lot of pressure to be a kicker. And sometimes that pressure is, I don't want to speak for Hale. I don't know what's going through and what's happening, but it's a pressure cooker position.
I would like to see that too. And it's more than just kicking the field goals. That's the other thing, is you've got to get the kickoffs where they need to be. There were 2 or 3 this weekend that were out of bounds and gave teams possession on the 50. So kicking is not easy, but we'll see. It occurs to me too, didn't you say last week that Faithful hit a 55-yarder in Paris?
56. He said he could hit from 65.
So maybe that.
He's global.
Maybe
He's
Jeremy
from the
O'Day's on the.
Yeah.
Yes, he's global. Maybe Jeremy O'Day's on the phone to Paris. What else? Oh, there was also Calgary managed to block a punt in this, and they got a field goal out of that. I thought it was interesting. Again, credit where it's due. Luke Wilson is turning into a fairly good color guy, and when matched up with Dustin, they work well together. And he was the one that pointed, if the ball had been punted the way that you would expect, just punted straight down the middle, that wouldn't have been a block. It came off the side of the Winnipeg punter's foot and shanked to the right into where the rusher was coming from. So sometimes you got to be lucky to be good too.
Is this the one where it got called for no yards?
Yes.
And I was very confused as how can there be a no yards on a blocked punt? And I was like, I don't know what's happening. But no one explained it. But
well, let me explain it to you then.
Because it can't just be me who was like, that seems weird. They haven't called no yards all year. Now you're calling it on this blocked punt. It was so weird.
A block kick, whether it's a punt or a field goal, as long as it crosses the line of scrimmage, you have to give 5 yards when the ball is caught. And they didn't. And in fact, interesting, they didn't just call it no yards, they called it no yards interference, which tells me that they were both within the zone and hitting the Calgary player trying to recover the punt.
To be fair, most of the people on the field did not notice that punt had been blocked. The ball was just spinning and no one knew, no one was paying any attention to the ball for a few seconds there.
There was also one of the Calgary touchdowns to Jones. I didn't think it was controversial, but there were people talking about it because he caught it. And then as he turned and was heading out of bounds, the Winnipeg defender came and slapped it out of his hands. And so they were saying, did he actually have possession?
Yes,
as far as I know, the rule is if you're in the end zone and you've got possession, that's
your toe is in, you have possession. Well, you know what? When your team's losing, you get irate about borderline things.
Personally, I thought there was another one that I didn't hear anybody talking about, but there was plays where They threw to Jones down on the goal line again. I think this was in the late second or early third quarter. Anyway, threw to the goal line. The pass came up a little bit short by like half a yard at the most. He couldn't make the catch, which is fine, incomplete pass, except the Winnipeg DB, before the ball got there, reached his hands around on the shoulder pads to the front of the shoulder pads and was preventing Jones from moving back towards the ball. And to me, that should have been a clear interference call. I'm not an official. Maybe I'm wrong. People here may tell me, hopefully, if I am wrong and you know why, please leave a comment and tell me. But to me, that should have been called for interference because you're preventing him from making him the play on the ball. And that's all I've got.
Yeah. Please see my PI rant from last week.
Yes. Well, this was one he didn't call for it. Nobody called for it.
No,
I'm the one.
That was a part of
I'm
it.
the one
like,
going, ah!
Nobody knows what PI this is this year, and that's part of the reason everyone's having a meltdown. But yeah.
Yes.
Great game, Calgary. Great bounce back game.
Yes.
Winnipeg, you're in trouble.
Welcome back to the Moose. Yes. Although, well, we'll talk about it in the games this week with prediction. BC's coming into Winnipeg, so they are getting a stretch without heavy opponents, heavy hitting opponents, or well performing opponents. But the next night was, speaking of BC, Toronto went out there, won 26-12. And there's not a lot, I don't think, that to talk about in this. It never felt to me like the game was in doubt. Bryce was in for 3.5 quarters and went 56%, 14 of 25 for 162 yards. Then they put Salter in for the last half of the fourth quarter. He threw 15 times. So between them, they threw 40 passes. Didn't seem to want to run the ball a lot. He was only 60%, 9 of 15, but he was completing deeper down the field, 121 yards. Now, he was also against a defense that had a 14-point lead or close to it at that point. So who knows how he'll look this week against Winnipeg. I'm not having a lot of high hopes, but it was just, even after Kelly got hurt, and Kelly was hurt went out, scrambled, ran for the first down, slid, and Sankey came down. I saw afterwards Sankey was saying, "Oh, that was fine by me. That wasn't a terrible hit. They were making cheap hits all over the field." You look at that, he put a shoulder directly into the helmet of Kelly. And I think that I'm not a fan of Kelly, as you know. As a human being, I don't have much to say good for him. But as a football player, he's good, and you've got to at least treat him on the field same as everybody else. So to me, the CFL should be suspending Sankey for a game over that. That was intentional enough injuring of a quarterback that I think it deserves a suspension.
I don't
It's
think
beyond
those
a
are
fine.
any worse than the 4 hits VA's taken this year. So the issue with this one is that Kelly slid late, and he has a little tendency to fake slide and then keep going. So if you're sliding late and someone's already in motion, it's hard. Sankey's like, yes, great. I get it. Fine me. I'll take my penalty, but I'm not going to I played at the whistle. And if you're sliding late, I'm already in motion. And I mean, there's an argument for that. I think there's an issue with how we're handling quarterback slides in general in the CFL, and quarterbacks are sliding a bit later because they want to get yardage because it's from where you start sliding that the ball. So I mean, it needs to be fine tuned a bit, because I tell you, it's hard to be a defender. It's hard to be a defender because how do you even defend against that anymore? So I get it. I don't think he needs to suspend it. I don't think it's intent. Alway is a player who probably should have been. He wasn't suspended for hitting VA. That was very blatant. So why is he? Yeah. So if he's not suspended, there's no way you can suspend Sankey. Always rap sheets a mile long.
That's definitely an argument, and you're right. They were very similar. I personally think the Sankey one was worse, and full respect to what you're saying there and to what others say about it. But that's BS. If Kelly had slid, whether it's late or not, if he had slid and Sankey was in motion coming in to make the tackle of a player who has not yet slid, so in other words, he's going to tackle a player who he knows is not giving himself up, that hit would have been at waist height And he would have basically, once Kelly slid, flew over top of him. If he did that and somehow his foot hit Kelly's helmet and he got a penalty for it, I'd say, yeah, that's not fair. But he managed, with Kelly there, going to the ground, to redirect his shoulder to the one spot where Kelly's helmet was. You can't do that without targeting. That wasn't, I was out of control, I'd already committed. If you were committed, you'd be targeting a whole different spot higher up than where he was. That was an intent to injure. And that should cost you a game and a game check. My opinion. I have sympathy for what you're saying about these late slides make it harder. But if you still manage to somehow get a hit where the quarterback's head is, regardless of where you think his head's going to be when you say you're committing to the tackle, I don't buy it. Carl Myers, punting for BC, is the one bright spot on that team. That man can punt for distance and places it well and somehow manages to get enough height he doesn't out-punt his coverage. I think he's the one bright spot there. Any other comments from you before we jump on this?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that when you have a backup in, like in Bryce, you only run Butler 10 times. You're not helping your backup quarterback succeed by only using your running back 10 times. And Butler can play. It's not like he's like some like no-namey guy. Like he is good. And Sean Lemon got 2 sacks in his first game back.
Yes, he did. Good to see the Lemonator doing his stuff. High
so
motor
if
still.
we were worried about rust, worry not.
Yeah.
I mean, it was against BC, but it's a good little first game back. Yeah, they pulled Bryce way too late. I'm always a fan when Arbuckle plays. And to be quite honest, instead of watching this game, our family chose to intentionally watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves that night instead. And I think we made the better choice.
Probably did, because there's a lot of reasons for it. But even as football went, this was not a terribly entertaining game whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know. I find it kind of ironic. I think personally, BC's had injury issues, and losing Nathan is not helping them. But even before the injury issues, they've got a big problem on defense, and I think it's self-inflicted. They've been talking for 2 or 3 years about if you want to win the West, you've got to beat Winnipeg. We need to build a team that's going to beat Winnipeg. So they built a team that's going to beat Winnipeg, that can stop the run. Look what they did to Rankin. They did fairly well against them. Toronto's not a running team, of course, but BC's one of the best teams in the league against the run. Unfortunately, teams have moved away from that style of dominating games and turned into Wild West passing shootouts, and the defense BC has intentionally built, has designed to put out there, can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And also, I mean, this is going back to like Mike Riley days, but their O-line has never been good enough.
Well,
and
again,
you are paying Nathan Rourke a bajillions of dollars, and he's getting run around back there. That's a waste of money for your team.
Yeah. Hey, the 2 highest paid quarterbacks in the league are Nathan and Chad Kelly, and the teams they play on have poor defenses and poor O-lines. So there's something definitely.
Gotta save money somewhere. Like there's only so much money to go around.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also, like you said, Buck Pierce, he ran the Winnipeg Offence for years based on run first, pass when you need to, and somehow he's forgotten that, because you're right, Butler's very good, and Horvath is a good back to spell Butler off too. Yeah. Horvath is
they
good
have
enough.
the
He
pieces.
could be starting in some teams.
They have pieces, and especially since most of your starting receivers are injured, especially and I mean, Toronto, you could have run on them, not anyway.
Yeah, but they didn't.
And they lost.
Yes. Surprise. Okay, so then that's the last one, and this is the one that, if the first game of the weekend was emotionally traumatizing for me, this is the one that MJ may have needed to spend a little bit of time in a dark room afterwards.
Yeah.
You had the Trey magic and the Trey inexperience out there.
Well,
it was both.
It was close until it wasn't. The Ticats were winning, guys.
18-17 with under 5 minutes to go.
Winning under 5 minutes.
Yes.
And you know what? I was looking at the stats, and And okay, so this is those last few plays, Trey had daylight to run and he didn't. And I looked at the stats after and he only ran 3 times that whole game. So Scott's made him sit back in the pocket again. We learned nothing from last week. No lessons were learned. I can't believe I said nice things about Scott. And then he goes and does this, because if Trey had been able to scramble and move up, I think that they would have played better, but they made him sit back there again. And then he made one decision, one very terrible decision, but that decision came after Ticats had a really nice pass to Gittins to move the sticks, and then they had no end. And then they mess around, and then Trey threw that really bad interception. And I will admit that's bad. I want to prop up Trey, but that was a bad mistake. I understand what you were trying to do. You were trying to get around an arm, but you should have just ate it. Like, that was not. Anyway, the defense played spectacular. They shut Alexander and Philpott down. These, they did not shut down, but they shut the passing game right down. Alexander had 187
under 200 yards for Alexander.
Yeah, so they did good. Even when Witten McManus was ejected from the game, they still managed to keep it under control. That was very selfish. If you didn't see, Witten McManus, it was in a pile, and he kicked the pile and ended up kicking by somebody's head. And I don't know what he was thinking. I get it's a battle. Like, I get that it's emotional. But there is no excuse for kicking. And then someone's like, well, it wasn't kicked. They didn't even kick it. It is not the referee's job to decide how hard you kicked somebody.
Yeah.
Just like it's not the referee's job to see how hard you slapped someone's helmet. So he gets ejected, and I was so upset because they're playing so well. Their defense was playing so well. And this is another game where if they had just had a few different opportunities, they probably could have pulled it out against the Alouettes. And then so the Alouettes, the last 3-4 minutes of the game, just scored 2 touchdowns, and that's it, right? That's it.
Yes. But even earlier, McManus getting himself ejected was a selfish, stupid play, no matter how you look at it. And what made it worse was their defense was holding them in the game. They were in a position that there's a very good chance there would have been a field goal out of that drive that they were on, because they were down about the 20-yard line. McManus takes a 25-yard ejection penalty, and they get the ball on the 1-yard line where they're going to get a touchdown. It's just stupid.
He is a leader on that team. It's just, I don't even know what was going through his head.
Yeah, I don't know either. And this is where I say Trey made some fantastic plays, and he escaped and scrambled and made some deepish passes. He also made some bad plays. And I don't know if it was his decision or what Scott was telling him, because there was twice late in the game there where he had, it looked like room to get at least close to a first down just running the ball. And at the last second, he threw it. And one was a deep one that went incomplete, and one was the interception you talked about, which was a very bad decision. So whether that was Scott telling him pass whenever you can, or him deciding I've got to be passing more, I don't know. But you can't blame him for this loss, because like you said, McManus got ejected. There was that play where there was no end when they needed a good play, and just you've got 3 receivers over there looking at each other in the waggle and nobody doing anything about it. So
they all know that someone needs to be on the line.
Yeah. They lost concentration and fell apart. They could have been in that game. Like you said, 2 touchdowns in the last under 5 minutes, because they went from being a very good team that was scrappy and fighting to stay in it to suddenly they lost their mind on offense, on defense, everywhere. They looked like the Elk did 2-3 years ago. They might stay in a game close, but they didn't believe in themselves when it came down to it.
Watching that was like me sitting in Commonwealth watching Trey being told to stay in the pocket and not scramble, and then watching them collapse in the last 3 minutes, and then walking out of Commonwealth sad. That was exactly the same experience I just witnessed Sunday night. It was too bad, because they had the Alouettes on the ropes, and the Alouettes looked not great. They
were playing well. They got the 100-yard punt return touchdown out of Wooden early in the game. to give them a lead. You're right. They were right in it. They, like I said, they held Alexander to under 200 yards and probably under about, I didn't do the percentage, but I think about 65%. So that wasn't great, but they just couldn't seem to play out the whole game. They also took 11 penalties for 116 yards, which didn't help.
It's an entire field, right? Like,
they had things like there was a short yardage play, 3rd and 1, where the Montreal short yardage guy tried to go around the outside basically, and Katsantonis just flew to it and made a great tackle to stop them. So, like I said, it wasn't like they weren't doing anything right. They were making great plays, but they couldn't hold it together.
too bad. That would have been what a great upset that
I also
would have
thought
been.
you should, wouldn't it have? Yes. I also think that you should be getting a lawyer and talking about going after Laura Duncan on the panel for copyright, because she was using the dazzling for Trey in the pregame. And then the other thing that was just kind of nice to note, because they were talking about it on there, Miles Fox is a D lineman for Hamilton. His brother Jamal is autistic, and he's written a book called Joyful Jamal, written based on Jamal's life, and how at one point the quote from it was Jamal said, "Yes, I'm different. I am, but that's okay." And it's a kid's book that talks about it. I think it's great. It was Miles, and they said Cheryl Fox. Now, I couldn't find out anywhere that I looked. Nobody could seem to be able to tell me Cheryl Miles' sister, mother, wife. I don't know, but it was there. So anyway, that book is out there, a kid's book that people are giving great reviews. The problem with it is it seems to be hard to find. I went online and looked. I was going to put a link in the show notes in case anybody wanted it for their kids. They said it's available on the Williams Commerce online store.
They probably had to
when I went looking there, they could be, I don't know, because there was nothing about books on there. This site they directed me to was a whole different thing. Apparently, maybe you can help out and find, if you can find Miles Fox on Instagram with our Instagram stuff, because they say he's also marketing it through his Instagram account. So if you find anything there,
I posted it. Yeah, I posted it to our stories. So, and they tagged like the co-author, I think. So maybe I'll follow the trail.
Yeah, if you can send me something to put in the show notes so that for people, that'd be great, because I think that'd be fantastic. Okay. So normally this would bring us to the GT Barnum CFL Outsiders official CFL power rankings, but as I said, GT's a scratch, so the power rankings this week is everyone is tied at 1. Everyone is number 1 because we don't have anything else to say. Our guy is out. Pardon a brief interruption here from Old Man in my editing capacity. Turns out GT was able to get the power rankings into us, so here they go. For this week, he's got number 1, the Edmonton Elks. Number 2, Montreal Alouettes. Number 3, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Number 4, Calgary Stampeders. Number 5, Toronto Argonauts. Number 6, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 7, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Number 8, Ottawa Red Blacks. And cuddled down at the bottom, whimpering like the little cubs they are, at number 9 are the BC Lions. Injury reports before we get to the games. There's lots of injuries out there. Who knows what's real and what's not with it. BC, apparently they have got to the point where they've already announced who's out or available, questionable, whatnot. Levi Bell from the D-line, TJ Lee, and then Josh Donovan and Brandon Yates, both from the O-lines, are all Rourke, Berryhill, and Cotoy, and Peters, who have been out before, all remain out. And Butler is questionable. So they may be short-staffed going against Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg, keep in mind this is Winnipeg with their way of reporting player availability. On Monday, they had several people did not participate, including both their tackles, Bryant and Broxton. On Tuesday, Broxton and Hallett in the defensive backfield were marked as limited. The rest were all showing as full. But according to their official ratings for them, Broxton, Bryant, Vanderpool from the O-line as well, Oliveira, Dembski, and Hallett are all questionable. I'm guessing that means they're all going to be playing, and it's just O'Shea playing his games there. Ottawa, Lowther, as I said, did not participate with I believe it was hamstring, so they have brought Lewis Ward back in. And Pelios did not participate, another tackle who's down this year. Saskatchewan, Ouellette, Emilus, and Fry from the O-line did not participate. Miller Jr., who got hurt early in the game but then came back and made some very good plays, was limited. And Lacombo was back at full after being out for a couple of weeks. They have also said officially that Ouellette is week to week. So I don't think we'll see him this week, but who knows? Edmonton has Anderson at linebacker back to practicing in a limited capacity, so we won't see him this week, but that's looking better. And Hamilton, Montreal didn't have any reports. So as you're going through stuff and making your picks for the weekend, you might want to keep that in mind. And now we have just the two of us doing our picks. GT draws a blank.
Well, we'll have
Unless
to
we
text
pick
them
all-
and get them to send them to us.
Well, yeah, we could do that, or we could say whatever. Anytime that you and I pick are in agreement on a pick, we'll give him the other team.
Yeah, or we could like
See
rock, paper,
if we
scissors.
can't gain some pick 'em ground on him. That's what you get when you're scratched for the game, my friend.
That's what happens.
So let's start out. BC going into Winnipeg.
I don't know. How is Salter going to play? Is Tommy Tonda going to remember Brady plays on his team? Winnipeg, BC plays really...
Brady's
okay, so
questionable.
he's questionable. BC's going to shut him down even if he does play. Salter versus Brown. You know what? I'm just gonna take BC. I think
Okay,
Salter
that's
is gonna...
a brave choice.
It is a brave choice, and you know what? This is not. It just like these are just for fun, and I think maybe Salter will channel his Casey Printer vibes and have a great game.
Yeah.
I think that Winnipeg's reeling. They're both reeling, but I think Winnipeg's really mad.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
I think they're both in trouble, and I do think that if it was just that Nathan was out and the rest of the team, if they looked like they were up there with the top 2 or 3 teams in the league, and now Nathan goes out, then I'd say, yeah, they can probably still beat Winnipeg. But there's too many other problems on that defense, on how the plays are being called. So I can't, as much as I'd like to take BC, I can't. I'm going to have to, I think Winnipeg gets another bit of a gimme win this weekend. Montreal
Going
and
on
Ottawa.
Drew Brown.
Montreal.
All right, so here's the fun. Let's break this down a little. Ottawa is off the bye. Montreal looked truly beatable against Hamilton, who, yeah, I'll make things easy for us, and I'm going to take Ottawa.
So we are splitting them up. This is another,
I think
like
for
I said,
fun. I think for CHAOS, they're going to get their first win of the year.
They're not going to go 18-0 or 0-18. They're not going to lose every game. They're going to win one, but I can't see it against Montreal. I'm on Montreal there.
Okay, so this is the thing about Ottawa. They're not getting blown out of games. There's games where they're losing by like 4 points, less than a touchdown. And Montreal almost lost against Hamilton, who is, yeah. We'll see what Mayor did on the bye week. We'll see what he did, and I'll just pick Ottawa.
Yeah, my opinion though is that Ottawa defense is the better part of the team, but they're not on a Hamilton level. Hamilton has an extremely good defense.
They are very good.
I do not see Ottawa being able to do that. I think our first show of the season, we're talking about preseason football. I said that's the thing about Jake Mayer that drives you crazy. 51% of the time he looks like a starting quarterback, and he makes nice throws and good reads, and he's moving the team. But he can't do it consistently, and he just too many mistakes. So, no, I don't think so.
Maybe it'll be a trap game for Montreal. That's what I think.
This could be. That's entirely possible. You never know with it, but I'm still going with Montreal. Calgary at Hamilton. Hamilton took Montreal down to the last 2 minutes before they melted down. Calgary couldn't beat Montreal. So can Hamilton beat Calgary?
So they did this record-setting game against Winnipeg, who are not Hamilton. And Hamilton's defense is going to make their life a misery. And if Wynn McManus can refrain from kicking people and stay in the game, they will do okay. I think special teams, these two stack up really pretty even. It's going to be like down to VA and Ford. And I don't know. Go first. I have to think about this.
Okay. Did the other question is, did Hamilton learn from how Calgary used McAllister in the game? McAllister's a hell of a player, but the reason he got 3 touchdowns was the Winnipeg defense was completely unprepared for him being in the offense and did not react well. If Hamilton can work on that, yeah, they've got a very good defense, but I think it shouldn't be a blowout unless it's a late meltdown again. But overall, I think when you're looking at how those teams match up, I think it's going to be a Dedrick Mills game for Calgary. I think he's going to run for probably 140 yards on 22 carries, because I do think that that's the one area Hamilton is somewhat susceptible to. And I would not be surprised to see Hamilton win it, but I think I've got to go with the odds and say Calgary.
All right. So, goodness. Okay, so here's the thing. I think Calgary might win this, but I think Castatonis is ending VA's interception streak record.
No, it wasn't him, but Hamilton did end Alexander's.
Yeah, ruining the party. Here we are.
So, yeah. Yes, I do think there's a very good chance VA gets picked off.
Yeah. It's going to be Castatonis. If it's not Castatonis, or Peters. It's going to be Castatonis or Peters are going to ruin that party. Yeah.
Unless they decide it was bad enough that they suspend McManus for a game. I don't think they should. He was stupid play, but it wasn't serious enough.
He's going to get fined. They never. Who are they suspending? No, they're not suspending anyone. Yeah. No one's actually getting suspended.
Yes, and if he's in there, he may well be the one to pick off VA. He gets a lot of balls for a linebacker. Yeah, I don't know what his total career interceptions are, but there have been enough of them that, I've spent too many games because even though we're the fans of the Argos according to our team picker, I don't necessarily like to see the Argos do well. And over the years, there's been too many times that I've seen McManus just have a team look like they're in a chance to either hold on to a win or come back and win something, and McManus stuffs it out with an interception. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him be the one. So who did you decide? You're saying Calgary or Hamilton? I said
Calgary probably going to win by a field goal, and VA's record is going to stop in Hamilton.
Yes. Yeah, that could be. And I think Calgary will win. I'm not even going to try and put a score on this. And as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Hamilton does win too. I got so discouraged by how it's been 2 weeks in a row now. Hamilton held on and beat Toronto when they missed the late field goal 2 weeks ago or a week and a half, whatever. But they melted down at the end of that game too. They were in it, and then it seemed, and this week they did it too. So if they can avoid that, if they can keep calm and not give stuff up, it'll probably be a field goal one way or the other. If they start panicking the way they seem to in the last games, it could be another, 14 point surge late in the game for Calgary.
Yeah, because Calgary's kicker, what's his name? I can't remember his name, Jude. I can't remember his last name right now. But he is not going to panic and miss field goals at the end of the game. That is not happening with Calgary.
Mind you, Hamilton is also a team that has always played well against Calgary.
I think these two teams stack up really well against each other, and I really wish Bo was playing, because this would have been a premier game for this season. This would have been just the best, but it's not. I hope Trey plays well. I hope if Scott lets him run, I think they can maybe win. If Scott's going to make him sit in the pocket and make stupid throws because he's too scared to run and worried Scott's going to sit him down, then I think they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that takes us to the last one, the Saskatchewan at Edmonton. They started the week this last week. They ended the last game on the Saturday night this week. And it was such a clear domination by insert team name here. I don't know. As I said last week, because my heart gets into it, if Saskatchewan has a chance of winning, I'm going to pick them. That's how it goes. But I honestly don't know. And I don't think anyone who tells you they can say for certain which way this game is going to end is delusional or a liar.
Yeah.
But Saskatchewan for me. Go Riders. How about you?
I knew this is going to be in Commonwealth. There's 20,000 people there for a BC game. I think it's going to be crazy for this one.
There
It'll
could be
fun.
25, 27.
Yeah. I'll pick the Elks. And you know what? Just to keep us balanced so we don't have to worry about picking for GT, I'll change my pick to the Ticats. It doesn't really matter. So then we'll even out. We'll even out.
There we go. Yep.
And it'll be fine.
Yes. Yeah. Now I'm the problem with that is I don't know what to put into the actual official pick'em when we're splitting all these games. But
like flip a coin, or we'll
that's what I'll do. I'll do a GT coin flip when I'm looking at this tomorrow and see each of them. Yeah,
about as good as any of our guesses, really.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Probably smarter. Yeah. Yes,
probably smarter.
Who was it? It was. I think if I remember right, it was Canadian Football Countdown who. I haven't listened as much this year, but in the past, Adam from there, who's the commissioner of the Fantasy League and all that, had his lucky coin that did all his pick'em for him. And it was on par with what everybody else's record was, if not better. So,
I mean, you and I will bounce out. We'll flip a coin and see how the podcast does.
More quick editorial interruption here. With GT not in place to make picks, we had a split on all the games. So we pulled out the lucky coin so that we actually have official CFL Outsiders picks to play in CFL Pick'em this week. And here they are. Our overall picks will be the Lions, the Red Blacks, the Stamps, and the Riders. I'm looking forward to this game, but I have no idea. I mean, AJ may not be in there, but I don't know that makes that big of a difference because he wasn't performing fantastic against that Edmonton line anyway. Fry on the O-line did not participate. If he's out, he's the weakest link there, but he's still better than if they have to put Johnson in there or something. So those things could play out. But then with Edmonton again, they looked impressive. Cody made some great plays. They played like a championship team, but they also had fumbles and turnovers. That wasn't exclusive to them. It wasn't like Saskatchewan played a clean game and Edmonton made mistakes and still managed to win it. They both made mistakes, and they both played fantastic football too. So I'm going with Saskatchewan because that's my heart, but who knows what it'll be. I will say this, if Edmonton pulls it off and takes a 3-game lead at the top of the standings and wins the season series against the Riders, I don't know who's catching them for first place. Calgary would have to, maybe if Calgary picks their record up and they sweep them in the Labor Day and the rematch, they might have a shot at it. But Edmonton's playing well. That damn Cody, how does he do that?
Well, good for him because he's the one who's we're like, Cody, they re-signed Cody, Cody,
Yeah.
And look at him winning Grey Cups in Montreal, and now look what he's doing in Edmonton. I'm really happy for him.
Within a crossbar of getting to the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
and now looking like he'll get to the Grey Cup in Edmonton, which is the 3 places where he's actually been a starter. There's something. They say he's the most disrespected quarterback in the league. I think he probably is because he's got scrap in him. And it looks like it to me, every friggin' game looks like Cody is somehow pulling off some magic and willed the team to a win. That can't happen every week, but apparently it can.
It can.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're done. That's everything. And just any final thoughts you have?
Yes. If you have a chance, please go and check out what Canada is doing at the Commonwealth Games right now. They are winning medals in everything. Just having a great Commonwealth Games. So go check it out if you get a chance. Go cheer on our country. Find me running Instagram, and I'll be over on Blue Sky at Sports and Plants.
Yes. Thank you. I'm retired. I'm not supposed to have anything to do, but I seem like I'm so bloody busy. I haven't watched much of the games, and I probably should. I keep seeing headlines saying that Canada is doing fantastic. But I'm concentrating on football right now. Other than Instagram, I'm on most of the CFL Outsiders accounts. So on Blue Sky, on X, on Twitter, whatever it is now, on Gander, on A, all of them. Look for CFL Outsiders anywhere there, and you'll find that's me behind the curtain running everything there. And otherwise, we're on a short roster today. Hopefully we managed to pull off a win. That's up to you to tell us. We don't know, but we're still in there like Cody, scrapping away under tough circumstances.
Friends.
Thank you very much. And this week for MJ, this is Old Man saying, get the hell off my lawn.